and then they're off market. I mean, what is the process of that? Why were they withdrawn, and
Well,
how can you get to them if they're off market?
I'll be covering that in the
Oh, in
webinar,
the actual
obviously.
webinar.
But
Okay.
broadly speaking, there's a variety of reasons why a property is withdrawn. And to be honest with you, I've only just in the last sort of couple of weeks found this source of information and the numbers involved. And there's a variety of reasons such as the person's thinking about it, legal packs aren't up to date. In one case we're looking at tonight, the auctioneers have been changed.
Okay.
But they're all, with the ones I've checked through, and there's 12 that we're looking at tonight, time allowing, all are coming back into the auctions.
Okay.
So and I've also checked, and I'm basically going to be repeating this in the webinar. I've also checked that these lots are not on rightmove and they're not on Zoopla.
Yeah, I heard, yeah, I saw you mentioning that, so that's why I found it interesting.
So,
to,
as you can see, can you see the screen?
I can see the screen, yes.
Well, there's 600 odd lots since January, as you can see in the screen. There's 160, 150, 160 in the last 4 weeks.
Okay.
And these are all properties which I wouldn't say all of them are going to sell, but given the research I've done, the majority are going to sell. They're going to come back into the auction. They're not going to sell private. Well, I say they won't sell privately. All of them are open to offers today, with the exception of the last two, which I will be showing you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, go on.
Well, they're just that. Here is a source of property in the auction rooms that should be available below market value. Just to say, hi, Chris, if you can hear me, your microphone isn't on. I don't know whether you're just listening in or anyway. Welcome to the webinar. Your mic's coming.
Hi, David. Yeah,
great.
I'm here.
Can you hear me?
Oops. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm just answering a question from my owner. I don't know whether they're going to come back in or not, but what has happened is that all 12 lots I'm going to show you tonight, and they range not only across the country but in value as well, from about £20,000 up to £400,000. In every case, I've got a good reaction from the estate agent, the auctioneer, and in 3 cases they've come back to me and said, look, can I give you any more details? So they're wanting to sell them, or they're wanting to get interest in them, but they're not visible. If you go on to rightmove and stick the details in, postcodes or whatever, they don't appear. Go on to any other auction site bar Essential, they don't appear, and you've got to know what you're doing on Essential to find them as well.
Okay.
So we're always looking for sources of properties that not many other people can see or find or whatever, and this is one. I didn't know about it. I mean I've been in this game for years and years, and I didn't know about this until about 2 weeks ago. I just wondered whether I could find them and what was happening to them. And the only agent that I phoned up that was totally unhelpful was Savills, and they said, check the next list. But everybody else more than helpful, covered stuff from Devon up to Yorkshire. And what I'm showing you tonight is just 12, because I don't think I'll get through 12 in the hour. A property which I found out of 180 something that weren't all withdrawn in March, not since January. And if you're the only person, if you're the first on the, through the door, there's a chance you might get a decent deal.
I mean, at one of the previous webinars, you mentioned, David, that if somebody buys pre-auction, because I'm quite interested in that, what would be the price to offer? And you mentioned that it should be within 10% of the guide price. Is that correct?
broadly speaking, the reserve should be within 10% of the guide. That's the
Okay.
advice that is given by the professional body. But both move, both the guide and the reserve moves, and it's dependent on the interest, the viewing interest. So if they set the guide, let's say at 100,000, and the reserve
Okay.
is at 110, and they get a pile of people going through the property in the 4 days of viewing, or the 3
Okay.
days of viewing, the probability is that they will move those up. They'll go,
Okay.
so it's a very flexible thing, and you don't know what's happening
Until the day of auction.
until the day of the auction. Now,
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, to use an old-fashioned word, a bird in hand's better than a bird in the bush. If you're
Yes.
interested, you go and say, I want to buy the property, do your DD on it, look to see, I'll show you some figures tonight, but has the property been, what did the person pay for the property? That's a good indication of what he'll accept. There's a property I'm going to show you tonight where the guide is less than what he paid for it. Well, if you're going to offer less than he paid for it, even though he bought it in 2007, he's unlikely to accept the offer. If you're going to offer more, then he might do it. Then you've got to look at the policy of the auctioneer. Some auctioneers, Barnard Marcus, for instance, will take pre-auction offers very happily. They're selling maybe 150, 200 lots. So if they lose 5% of their catalogue to pre-auction offers, they do. So they will take them through and they'll push them. Other auctioneers, like say Paul Fosh in South Wales, who is only an auctioneer, he doesn't sell properties outside of auction. He will always try and persuade his clients not to sell outside of the auction, sell in the room, go under the hammer, because if he sold even half of his catalogue before the auction, he wouldn't have an auction. And tonight we're going to be seeing two lots, no, one lot I think it is, which has been where the auction was cancelled because of that reason.
Oh, I see.
We cover all this, by the way, in the. Are you coming to one of the master classes or not? I don't think you are you? Or we're going
I don't believe I am, no.
we cover this in the master class. This is all covered on the Saturday before we start viewing properties.
Mm-hmm.
But variety of reasons, as I say, one auction, as I say, tonight. I don't know how many lots was in the auction, spoke to the auctioneer. He got 2 withdrawns in the withdrawn list that came up, and they cancelled the auction and have rolled the withdrawns forward to the next auction. But in the meantime, they're on the market. And in the meantime, if you know about them, you might get a deal. You might get a deal. There's also on the withdrawn side a fair bit more DD to do, and the legal packs are not available. There isn't one legal pack up and running, or not one legal pack visible at the moment in what I'm going to show you tonight.
Mm-hmm. So that's not good, is it? I mean, it's
well, you need to do more work.
Exactly.
You need to do more work. But it's just another source. I mean, we've looked at unsolds, we've looked at repossessions, we've looked at needing work. We've looked at a variety of different categories of auction properties, and this is a new one, withdrawn. And whilst the unsolds and the repossessed and so forth are still on the market and visible, these are invisible. These are under the radar.
But with the unsold, the motivation should be bigger, shouldn't it?
Yes, it is. It is, definitely. Hence, you're able to drive. It's a question of knowing what the reason is for the unsold. Why didn't it go? Invariably, it's because the reserve was set too high. So
yes, definitely.
You find it's coming down. The reserve is dropped. And it's a question of knowing the figures like what did it last sell for, has it been through the auction beforehand, things like that. So you could go along to the auctioneers with a sensible figure that they can consider. Hi, Jeremy.
Yes.
If you can hear me, we're just in the run-up to the auction. We've got a couple, 3 more minutes of Q&As, and then we will be starting another arrival. I'm just speaking to Iwona at the moment, who has raised a couple of questions on the whys and hows of withdrawals. So, yeah.
So did you come across them by accident through
No.
research?
I've known they existed for a long time, and I just wondered whether I could find them.
Okay.
I'm a bit inquisitive, and I was trying to find them and looking through Rightmove and places like that. Went online with Essential, and they've got a category of withdrawn, so I punched it in, and I came up with 10,000 withdrawals. Well, it covered all the withdrawals back to about 1990, which didn't help me at all. So I carried on working on it, and eventually managed to get down to the point where I've got down to 1 month. But what I can't do is I can't price them. I can't say I want everything under £100,000. I can't alter the category other than withdrawn. So there is quite a bit of work to do to isolate these things to what you want. I mean, if you're after withdrawn terraced houses, for instance, no chance. I mean, inside what you can see on the map, there are doubtless dozens of terraced houses. I'm going to be looking at a few tonight, but you can't isolate them. You can't isolate the properties that are ASTs. You can't isolate the repossessions, all of which we'll be looking at tonight. You can't isolate them. So you put up an area like southeast of England. You might have 200-300 properties. Well, not, but yes, 200-300 properties to work through to find what you particularly want. There's a lot more work to do, but then again, you don't have a lot of people working against you. You have a lot of competition. Hi, Catherine. Just having a chat to Iwona, and it's now 8 o'clock, so we will be starting very shortly. Just a couple more people getting in, and then I can explain how these webinars work. Okay, Iwona?
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, it's Iwona, David, actually, like the English.
Sorry?
Yvonne, it's Iwona with a V.
Yvonne. Oh, I see. Oh, sorry. I got it as...
It's Iwona, yeah. No,
right. Okay, Yvonne. Hi. Right. Okay, I hope you can all hear me. Hi, Monica. Just arrived. Well, the people are pouring, and so just be patient. Be patient, please. There's a lot of people coming in at the last minute. I'll just hold on until this rush slows down, and then I will tell you what's happening. Was that helpful, Yvonne?
Yeah, it was very helpful. Yes, thank you,
Good.
David.
Good.
Do you have a limit to amount of people booked on this webinar or not?
26.
Okay, oh, excellent.
Yeah. Just as the same, I mean, on the masterclass, the maximum is 12, because we do 2 viewing days, and I'm not prepared to take more than 12 people around a little house with the general public, because we join other people, who are just the general public looking at the properties. So, I mean, one property I went to in Birmingham some time ago, I mean, there were about 200 people trying to get into it.
Oh, wow.
So it was sharp elbows at the front. Now, we're delivered by we have a coach. So we arrive in time, and we get off the coach, and I'm there at the front, and I'm quite big. And so I make sure I get my little group in before anybody else. So. Okay, it's just gone 8 o'clock. For those that have arrived, we're just waiting for people to settle in. There's been a sudden rush at the last minute. And as soon as this rush slows down, I will be starting and tell you what's happening and what you can do. Hi, Aaron. Hi, Monica. These are people I know.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hi, Monica.
Hello.
Right, your different name. Okay, it seems to have slowed down a bit. Right, 8:03. Okay, just 2 minutes so I know you can hear me. Got 3 people who are waiting to get in. Right. Okay, I will start. Okay, well, first of all, my name is David Humphreys, and welcome to the Hot Lots webinar. Must tell you, I'm not politically correct, or not often politically correct anyway, so if I say anything which you find offensive, I apologize now. If you find it really offensive, send me an email and I'll tell you why you shouldn't be offended. Anyway, I'm a bit old-fashioned and not very politically correct. So, you've all got open mics if your mics are working, so you can interrupt me and say your piece. Take questions on the hoof. Don't wait till the end of the webinar. If you've got a question, please raise it or send it in by text. I think you can text. And my partner, Jane Collett, who I don't think is in the room yet, but will be shortly, will also be monitoring things. And right, so let's get started. And what we're looking at tonight, we did these webinars we do not exactly on a weekly basis, but pretty well weekly now, weekly or every 2 weeks. And we tend to pick a theme for the evening for those that haven't been on one of these webinars before. And tonight the theme is withdrawn properties, which I wasn't aware that I could show you these until about 2 weeks ago. And the webinars are run in conjunction with a masterclass that I run. I'll come to the advertising side in a minute, and the Essential Information Group, and we're going to be working on their site tonight. And if you're serious about buying at auction, membership of the Essential Information Group is essential. Anyway, I've known about withdrawn properties for a long time because obviously you go to an auction and you see a number are withdrawn for whatever reason, and I'll come to reasons in a minute. And that's it basically. And then when you go onto the Essential Information site or other sites, and you can find unsold, you can find stuff that's been sold before the auction, stuff that's been sold afterwards, but not withdrawn. So I was hunting around to see whether I could find these on the Essential site, EIG. It's called EIG, this, by the way. And did a bit of searching and came up with this map that you can see. I hope you've all got screens that you can see what I'm doing. Came up with this map, and on this map, I put a date in, January the 1st, 2017. The first date I put in, by the way, I just put show me them, and something like 10,000 came up. It took me back to 1990 something, which was ludicrous. All I could see was red dots or red placeholders. So I then shut the dates down and got down to January 1, 2017, and there are 632 properties on this map. All have been withdrawn since January, from auctions that they were scheduled to be in since the 1st of January 2017. And then I cross-referenced the crossout and sort of to see if I could find any of them anywhere else. So I went on to Rightmove, went on to Zoopla, went on to the portals, and they're not there. I'm going to show you a dozen properties tonight. they're not there. So these properties, some of which will have been sold since, by the way, but most of them haven't. The ones that I've found 12 that haven't. These properties, what I've out of sight, as I say, they're under the radar. About the only people that know about these properties are people that are registered, possibly registered with the estate agent. They may know about them, or the auctioneers, possibly, but that's about it. Anyway, so let's go on, because we've only got the hour to do this. I try and keep it to a tight hour, then at 9 o'clock you can all go home or back for a drink or whatever you want to do. So let's move on into the commercial element. And as I said, Essential Information Group, we're working on their site tonight. And if you're interested in auctions, membership of this website is essential. I've been a member for quite some time. And normally speaking, or normally you get a couple of days to have a look at it. And that's it. It costs about £400 a year to join. And if you want to join and you email dh16@theeigroup.co.uk tonight, you'll get 4 weeks full access to have a look around, and also one-to-one on how to use the website. I've also done a YouTube video on how to use the website. It's a complicated website. It's complex. You need help finding your way around it. Second commercial is my masterclass, 28-day masterclass. We're running it in April post-Easter, April 17 to May 8, and we're shutting it, or we're reducing it down to 2 weeks effectively. Nothing is lost out of that 2 weeks. It simply means you have to work harder, those that are coming. And this is a masterclass which runs alongside or inside an auction, Bigwoods in Birmingham. And it is a live auction, and we go through the catalogue, we choose properties that you want to go and see. We go and view the properties in normal time, in the sense that the general public are also viewing at the same time. So you've got the normal 15 minutes in the schedule that is set by the auctioneers. We go to the auction, you can pick properties out, you can bid on them, you can buy them, we help you on the due diligence and the costing, etc., etc., etc. So cost is $14.95. There's 2 places left, maximum of 12 places on the auction. That's all I'm prepared to be taking around these houses. We'll be looking at 20 odd houses during the 2 days. The first day is a Tuesday, when we view my choice of properties. The second day is the Wednesday or the Thursday, when we view the student's choice of properties. And we work with Bigwoods because they will have a catalogue of something like 120, 130 properties. And I'll find in that catalogue everything I want for training purposes. So we use them for training, but you can buy at the same time. And as I say, we work closely with the EI group. And if you're interested, you can get full details or reserve from David at buyingauctionproperty.com. And as I say, that website's got full details on it. I'll come back to this at the end. That's about the end of the commercial element or the of this webinar. Okay, so welcome to everybody, and let's move on. Withdrawn, what does this mean? Few or no other bidders. And this was the map that I came up with when I first managed to scale this back to a usable size. 632 withdrawn lots between the 1st of January and the 31st of March. That's this year, by the way, that's this year. So at the end of this, we're only, what, a few days old, 5 days old. It's peppered, it's absolutely peppered with properties which are withdrawn. Now, not all of these are going to come back on the market, but on the research that I've done, a considerable number are. And this lot is the 184 lot withdrawn lots during the month of March. So it's close on 200 properties during the month of March up into Scotland have been withdrawn. And they obviously sit where there's heavy concentration of auction properties, the northeast, through the Midlands here, obviously into London, into South Wales, and then smattering along the south coast. And all these properties, not all of them, but what I've seen are coming back on the market or coming back into the auction market. But I can't find them on rightmove, I can't find them on Zoopla, I can't find them on any of the property portals. So essentially they're under the radar. So what's happened? The commonest is legal pack problems. The legal packs weren't ready, something wrong with the legal packs, they're being prepared. That's the commonest problem for the last minute withdrawal. In one case, which I'll show you tonight, there's a change of auctioneer. Paul Fosh had a property on his auction, and for whatever reason he lost the job of auctioning it, and it's gone to another auctioneer. Don't know why, but that auctioneer hasn't sold it. Well, I'll cover that when I get there, because I'm going to be looking at that one tonight. For one reason or another, they're just not ready to be sold. I found that all the auctioneers or all the estate agents I spoke to were very helpful. They came back to me, more than happy to talk about it, gave me the guide prices and the available app prices and things like that. The only auctioneers who were sniffy about me asking questions was Savills, who said I'd have to check the catalogue, and they weren't prepared to talk to me at all. Whether that was the person who I was speaking to or Savills' policy, I don't know. But I got nowhere with Savills at all. But everybody else I spoke to couldn't be more helpful. So what do you do? What do you do if you want to benefit from these withdrawn properties? Well, the first thing you do is go and view the property. As you will see in a minute, full details are available to you. Address, postcode, number of the property, etc., etc. So you can go and view it. And if you're buying stuff that needs work, and most of the properties coming through auctions need work, you can cost up the works. Okay, you're not going to know what it needs, but it's something we show you in the masterclass. You buy properties that need the work that you want to carry out. So you can either be buying properties which just need the kitchen, the bathroom, and a redeck, or you're buying properties which need a full gut refit. And if the first costs you $5,000 and the second costs you $25,000, depending on where you are, I'm not talking about London, then you put a bid in that allows you £5,000 worth of work, or you put a bid in that allows you £25,000 worth of work. And generally speaking, you can see through the windows and use various other tricks that we show you on the masterclass to find out what the property is like talking to next door neighbours and stuff like that. You'll also be surprised to learn that these properties often aren't very secure, and doors have a habit just opening when you blow at them, or lean against them anyway. But surprisingly how easy it is to go inside a property which is empty without breaking in, I hasten to add, or breaking the law. But doors are not necessarily secure. So having got this, viewed it and decided you want it and what it's going to cost you to fix it up, then you can get some idea what you're going to pay for it. So you contact the auctioneer and tell him about it, register your interest and say, when this comes back, or when you decide to start selling it again, let me know. And I'd be interested in paying such and such an amount. Give him some idea what you're going to bid. He may give you, say, oh, forget it. If you're only prepared to bid that amount, it's of no interest to us at all, or you have no interest. On the other hand, he may say that he may give you an indication of whether your bid is going to be acceptable or not. But secondly, and again, I'll show you why at the end of this webinar, keep in touch. Make that phone call, but keep in touch. Watch the what's going on. Go back to the auctioneer and say, any movement on such and such a property, still interested. show him that you are genuinely interested in that property, and try and get him to recommend you. I mean, he wants to sell it. At the end of the day, he wants to sell it as quickly and as easily as possible. And if he can persuade his client, the vendor, to accept your offer and move it forward, he'll do so, generally speaking. As I say, some auctioneers want to see it go under the hammer in the room. Other auctioneers more than happy. In some cases, I've touched on this in earlier webinars, some vendors will only sell under the hammer. Typically, they are local authorities, have to be seen to sell under the hammer. Probate sales, repos, repossessions, they tend to have to go under the hammer. But there are many, many others that don't have to go under the hammer, where you can buy pre-sold or you can buy pre-auction at a price that suits you. Or obviously it suits you if you're prepared to bid it. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these properties. And there's a little bit of, what we're going to do now is go and look at, we're still on my PowerPoint presentation, but each time I click on one of these houses, we're going to open up the EIG site and look at the details on the property. So we're going to start in Devon, and there's a little bit of a delay when I do this, which I apologize for, but there's nothing I can do about it. And bingo, here we go. Close that down and close that down. And this is the property. Now, this is quite expensive. In fact, it's £400,000. But what we've got here, the only thing we haven't got, by the way, for those that have been on these webinars beforehand, earlier, is no legal packs. There isn't a legal pack on any of these lots. That's been removed because they're not on the market. But everything else is there. So we can go to the catalogue entry and see the extent of this development. And in this case, it's quite extensive. If you're interested in developments in Devon, costing you 400 grand. The auction guide is still there, 400 grand. And this is a cottage and 2 building sites near Barnstable in Devon. And we rolled down. I spoke to Philip Smith and Dunn. They couldn't be more helpful. We don't know if it's still available. They came back and said, yes, it is. Price, 400K. Okay, thank you very much. And was I interested? Did I want to buy it? And so forth and so on. And I said, not just at the moment, no. And here's the full, this is the original documentation, the original web information that they put up when they prepared it for sale. So the only thing that's missing here is the legal pack. And as you can see, it goes on and on and on. So if you're interested in a development in Devon, which isn't everybody's cup of tea, but still, there you have a cottage and 2 building sites at £400,000 as a starter, or as where you're going to start. Now, the other thing that's available, if I shut this down, I'll go back to, you can see this is Hazel Cottage. You've got available to you the property prices. So you can find out when Hazel Cottage was last sold. And it doesn't appear here at all, I don't think. Stoke, no. Right. So, but some of these lots do appear on others. I'm not going to go back before 2006. So I can shut that down. And also I can look to see whether there's any auction history. Now, for those that haven't looked at EIG before, property prices are just that. You're looking at the property prices on the EnglishHousePrices.com site, and they are the prices that property is sold at. There's also a street history, which isn't in this list here. It'll be on the next property I look at, which tells you what the auction history is. So you get an indication as to what has happened at auction. So there you have a property which is available, £400,000 as of today. It is withdrawn at the moment. It will be coming back in too, but they couldn't give me a date. And that is not visible anywhere on any of the portals. Okay, so I now shut this down and I go back to here and look at this property. Now here, this is quite interesting. I was asked earlier by one of the attendees tonight why the people withdraw, and in this case, David Plaister, when it comes up, I can't speed this up unfortunately. It's already a lot faster than it used to be. Here we go. What happened with this was David Plaister is, I think, a small auctioneer, and he had 2 properties left over. All the rest he had sold pre the auction. I gather that he had probably got 8 or 10, I don't know, but that sort of number in the auction. He's pre-sold all the others, left with 2. This is one of them, and so he cancelled the auction with the vendor's agreement and moved these 2 into his next auction. But until his next auction catalogue is out, which it isn't at the moment, once again these don't appear anywhere, or this one doesn't appear anywhere. And here we've got 2 Milton Road, West-Supermare. Once again, no legal pack, no legal pack. This property, by the way, has a guide on it of £180,000. But what we can see, in addition to the pictures, is we can see property prices in the street. This is 2 Milton Road. This is the start of the DD. See whether there's any sale history on 2 Milton Road. I get some idea of property prices in the street. Here it comes. If you can see this thing whizzing around up there, as it turns, and clockwise it's coming. 2 Milton Road, there we go. It was bought in 2008 for £212,000. So that's the sort of money they're after. You've got a £180,000 guide on it. If you go in at or around 212, given this was just all the credit crunch, you've got a good chance if you can make it work at 212. But that's the sort of money that they're looking for. If they don't get 212, they're going to take a shower. That gives you some indication. So that's the first thing to look for, is what did they pay for it and how long ago. Now the next thing to look for is the history. Has it been through the auctions before? And after this, outside of going and viewing the property, going and looking at it, there's not a lot you can do online. You can get rental values. I'm not going to look at those tonight. If you're picking up rental values, you want market rental values of rightmove and also the NHA rents. So here we've got it withdrawn, freehold building, 3 floors, arranged as 3 self-contained flats, unmodernized, which means you could do works, etc. Has it been through the auction rooms before? The answer is no, 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 no. Quite a lot here. 62 has been through a couple of times. In fact, more than a couple of times. So you have a quick check down, and the answer is no. Number 2, this is a new property being auctioned by David Plaister, and withdrawn. And as I say, he gave me the reason for the withdrawal, which is quite simply that he was only left with 2 to sell, and felt it was in the best interest of everybody concerned if he cancelled the auction and rolled this forward to his next auction, and I don't even know when that is. Okay, so here you've got an investment property. I can go and look at the catalogue. Out to here. I can go look at the catalogue and find out what it is. Right, here's the catalogue. This is the full catalogue entry as well. So you've got all the information you need. £180,000 is the price, and we've got a ground floor flat of 1 bedroom, a first floor flat presumably below it, first floor flat, 1 bedroom. So there are 3 1-bedroom flats. Do I have any rents? No, I don't. I've got EPCs, I've got all the information I need, I've got layouts. God, they've really gone to town. Purchasers will be required to pay a £400 buyer's premium, that's standard. As I say, can't see the legal packs. This is all to do with Plaister's standard terms of business. So I don't know whether the vendor is looking to recover his fees and costs. You've got a couple of flats here that could do with some insulation. They're down to E's. Remember, these regulations are coming in 2018, 2020, that you've got to up the insulation ratings on properties to be able to let them. I don't know whether E is enough, is it? I think E possibly is enough. Anyway, full details. And so if it's of any interest to you, this property is going to come back into the auctions, and it is available today. So let's shut this down and move on to one of Clive Empson's properties in Southampton. We're going along the south coast at the moment. And here again, it's unmodernized, and this is a flat, not a house. I'm always a bit concerned about these houses like this that are in flats, but when you look at the property prices I'll show you, there's quite a lot of flats or half houses in this street. Here we come. Okay, so it is the ground floor flat. It's leasehold, so it's just the ground floor here. And if we go to this, has got a price on it, by the way, of £65,000. It's this price here, 65k. And once again, we've got no legal packs. We've got property prices. This is number 244. I think this property was sold as a house and then a flat. So 244. He wants 65,000 for it, and here we go. No, it's nearly starting to reverse itself. Here we go. Bingo. 244, 114,000. That's a flat in 2006. Here we've got a flat at £64,000. So this flat was, if this is the flat, 244. Just double check that. 244 Priory Road, Southampton. It doesn't say whether it was a ground floor or first floor. Maybe that'll come through the auction side. But here we've got £114,000 with a £65,000 guide on it today. 65,000 was its 2000 price. Let's go and see what happens on the auction history. And the auction history, shouldn't shut that down completely. My apologies. The auction history is on this section. Here we go. Come on, baby. Up you come. Spinning away for me. Here we go. Right. the property prices on the EIG site give you the house price sales like any of these sites do. This gives you uniquely the street history through the auction rooms. And we're looking for 244. Now, unfortunately, this comes up as a map and then goes to grid, so it takes a bit longer to get up. Come on, come on. Spin away. Too many other people in the neighborhood are on the internet. I'm going to have to ban them from going on when I'm doing webinars. Here we go. Okay, I've got to go to a grid. And we're looking at for 244. That's right, 244, to see whether there's any auction history on this property. So this is the one that's being withdrawn, 244, 25th, 23rd of March, 17 note. And then we come across and no. I thought this one had some history. I was wrong. 241. No, there's no history on this. So let's go back up to the top. No, there isn't any history. My apologies. There's another one with history. But this gives you auction history when you look at the street history on the EIG site. Okay, so that is the ground floor flat, £65,000, and the guy, if this was the one that sold for that £100,000, they're taking a big loss on it. I think, let me just go and check something else before we disappear. I think I know there was something wrong with this flat. This is where you have to be patient on these auctions, because this is not what's the word, rehearsed. I'm now going to the catalogue entry, which will show me what who the vendor was, and I think, yes, that's it. This is receivers. This is a repo. This is a repossession, and that's why it is so low. 65,000 is the guide. That's what they want out of it. That's their mortgage, or that's what Empsons have advised. Clive Empsons have advised as a price to get it sold. So here you've got a withdrawn property. Legals weren't ready. Something wasn't ready. And it's undergone a program of refurbishment, etc., 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 and it cost over 100 grand when it was bought, and now it's going for the half price or thereabouts on the instructions of receivers. It is a repo. There is a potentially good buy, and if you went in early on this, and remember it's not visible at the moment, there's no reason why, unless their policy has got to go back under the hammer, and Clive Empson will tell you that. He'll tell you that if you ring him up and say, where are we on this, he'll tell you whether it's going to go under the hammer or whether they can accept a pre-auction offer or bid. Then that's a potentially hot lot, as they say. Okay. If a property has been withdrawn several times, is that a cause for concern? Asks Monica. The answer is no. In fact, I think I've got. You try and find out why. I mean, it's obvious question that you should ask, and understandably they'll say, well, yes, the reason is this or the reason is that. They want to help you. They want to put your mind at rest. They want to tell you that everything is okay in the garden and please come along and buy the property. They want to encourage you. So if you're concerned or worried about something, ask them. And if you're not happy with the answer, keep asking. Just keep on sort of nagging away at them, saying, look, I don't understand this, I don't understand that. You'll be surprised how patient they are. Anyway, let's move on. This is an interesting property. This is the property that has gone from auctioneer A to auctioneer B. Of conscious of the time, and it's 20 to 9 now, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. Here, there's no guide price because Foch has pulled it, but this is unusual. Don't usually see properties moving auctioneers, and this is again is a repossession, as if I remember correctly. So I have no idea why it has moved from one South Wales auctioneer who's very good, Foch is a well-respected auctioneer, to another well-respected auctioneer called Francis. Come on, baby, move, move, move. Unfortunately, I can't speed this up, ladies and gentlemen. Wish I could. Oh, here we go. It's turned, coming back to me. This is the property in Swansea, and as I say, I've got no details on it, except if I go to the catalogue entry, it's unmodernized. I think I'm right in saying that I remember that it's a repo. Is it a repo or is it not a repo? I think I've got AMG up here, which is, yes, there we go. AMG, which is a company that takes over properties which are under tenancy and sells them where the landlord has fallen down on his payments. So no guide price, and this is off the Foch site. There's no mention of this property on the Francis site yet, and it wasn't in the last auction. I checked that. And therefore this is it's a repo being sold, and it isn't on the market at all anywhere. And if I was interested in this, I'd be around to have a look at it, and going down to see Francis and saying to him, you know, I'm interested in this property, and what do we do from now? That is invisible. That property invisible, and yet it's a repossession. Okay, very good example of what you can find in these withdrawns. Okay, let's move on to my pub. If you're interested, anybody wants a pub to convert into I'm not quite sure whether it's a working pub or not. They make very interesting properties, these, because they've got big, large rooms downstairs. This is in Nottingham, and guide on it I think is 150,000. That's right, a lot of property. Now what you've got here is a pub which I think is stopped. Why it's been withdrawn? Now there is some history on this property. If I go to the street history, I find that lots and lots of pics. Look, lots of pictures. Obviously, any redevelopment of this pub is subject to planning consent, but you get it, almost certainly, as long as it wasn't stupid. Come on, baby. And what we find on the history, it's like watching paint dry, this search result. I've got to go from there to the grid. There we go, press the grid, and watching this little circle going around. I'll be dreaming about this thing tonight. I'll wake up screaming, watching the blue circle go round and round. Anyway, right, what's the number of this property? The Queen, 99 Windmill Lane, 99 Windmill Lane. Here we go. So here's the property. It came through the auction in March, January, February, March, that's right, 2017, and it was withdrawn, and then it's back in with a £150,000 guide price on it, and it's been withdrawn again. Whoever, Monica wasn't it, who asked about this. And earlier, back in March 2017, they did sell for an undisclosed amount prior to auction land adjacent to it, which is this land. So they obviously split it, Look, 99 Wimble Lane, 99 Wimble Lane. There's no other history on it at all. But again, go down there, you could very easily find a door open or something like that, or a window not properly closed. Anyway, there's a pub, and they've split the land off. They've sold that. This is for sale at 150k with development potential. No legal pack on it yet. That'll come out, and I've no idea what it's like, but it's nothing. It's a lot of property. If we go to the catalogue, I think we've got plans internal on it, but we've certainly got enough pictures to be able to see what it's like internally. So there we have a pub, £150,000 with development potential that is not on the market. Yes, look at all these pictures here, and there's the plan down there. So there's a lot of information. You can see boarded up. You can see, it's all in quite tidy order internally. So if a pub grabs you, think about it. Think about it. Anyway, let's move on. Here is a property in West Bromwich with a price of £120,000, again with development potential. Something went wrong, it says. Oh. Come on, come on, come on. Here we go. It's the end house here, number 1. And I don't know what that's about. So that's what's happening. It's potential subject to planning consent, which I don't understand. But this property is, why can't I get rid of that? Let's take it away, put it somewhere else. This property has a guide on it of £120,000. Has it been through the market? Number 1, Lawley Street, £120,000. Waiting for it to load up the house prices. One hasn't been through it at all. So there's no history on this property at all. That can happen. That can happen. Okay. So let's shut that down. I'm going to move on to this one, I think. Am I going to move on to that one? This is unmodernized. This is a guest house, which would be make an HMO. I'm just conscious of time. I've got about 10 minutes left. And here we've got an interesting HMO. In Cumbria. We're covering the country tonight. Normally we stay south. And again, a lot of detail. This is still available. And the price on this, I think this is a working guest house, but obviously it's a potential HMO. In Cumbria, Egremont in Cumbria. That's pronounced correctly. Come on, come on, come on. Here we go. As I said earlier, no legal packs at all on any of these properties. The detail, I think, yeah, £300,000 buys you a 12-bedroom guest house with additional 2-bedroom owners accommodation located in Cumbria. It all looks quite tidy. So there's a whole variety. We have pubs, guest houses, development project down in Devon, etc., etc., etc. So a huge variety of properties. Moving on, I'm going to come to those at the end. I think this is my cheapest property. Yes, it is. 400,000 over there, the Devon property, and here we have a property in South Yorkshire for £20,000. This is credit card stuff. Needing work, needing modernization. So there's something to suit most folks' budgets. It's spinning away. Again, loads of pictures with it. 92 Schofield Street. It's an unmodernized 2-bedroom, I think it is. And for prices, £20,000 is the guide price on it. 92, has it been sold recently? This will be a yield producing let if you did it. Probably get a rental of about £4,500 a year off this. So if you pay £20,000 for it, you're talking about a 40% yield. No, what am I talking about? 12, 48, yeah. 30, what was the number? Forgotten it. 92. Not, it hasn't been sold since 2007. 92, no. Just try it. Go back a year or another 10 years. Come on. This is not beginning to slow down, unfortunately. Oh, here we go. 92. Show me his left. Right. Oh, here we are. 26,500 they paid for this in 2003. Number 92. So whoever owns it is taking a loss on an investment that was made, what, 15 years ago? 13 years ago. 13 years ago. The £20,000 guide on it, unfortunately. So there you have a property which £20,000 needs modernising. So he bought it in 2003. I don't expect he's done anything to it at all. Okay, to move on to these two. Why these two? Because both these properties are withdrawn, but they will come back on. I spoke to the agents with regard to these two. This property is at 115,000 and this is 125,000. This is the auctioneer, Penny Cook is pronounced, Penny Cook Collins, and they assured me they're both under tenancy. They're producing yield, by the way, of about 7%, 6.5%, 7%. They assured me that these properties would come back on later this year. They've both been owned, by the way, for about 10 years. You could go back, if we go pick up this one, we can find out what they paid for it. With 100, I think he paid slightly less than 115. But as I say, the Penny Cook couldn't have been more helpful, and they were happy would be happy to take my name and come back to me and tell me the moment they came back. I got the impression that they would be back in the auction room in the autumn. Hence I call it a waiting game. So just have a look at the price. This is number 17 Factory Road, and I think it was about 2007 it was bought, or was it earlier than that? Here we go, it's spinning a little blue. Here we go. Come on, be nice to me. I wish I could make this fast for you. What was the number again? 17, not there. No. 17, no. Right, 17 Factory Road. Here it comes. Spinning away, 17. There we go. 125,000 pounds in 2007, credit crunch time. So, and he's now looking for, I've got a guide on it, of 115. But that's what he's looking for. So, you know, if you're interested in buying this or putting an offer in ahead of it coming back into the auction market, obviously you've got other DD to do. You've got to look at values, current values and so forth, and you can't just accept it. But this is the sort of number he's looking for if he's going to sell the property outside of the auction room, climbing towards 125,000. And is anything making 125,000 in the street at the moment? You go back to the first page. The answer is no, it's not. It's getting up, well, 122 in 16, number 21, that's just down the road. You'd be paying, at 125, if you left him with his money, you'd be paying top whack. You'd be paying top whack, which is not the name of the game in the auction rooms. Anyway, 5 minutes to go. The property, this is another one. 125,000, he paid about 100,000, and I'm assured that these will come back onto the market in the autumn later this year. So these have been withdrawn and it's a waiting game. Okay, that brings me to the end of this webinar. Go to the commercials again, and we're going to be covering withdrawns and unsolds and so forth quite extensively in this masterclass. Haven't done it before, but particularly withdrawns, because I just wasn't aware of it, the potential in them. And there is really huge potential, but you've got a lot more work to do. This isn't on a plate. You've got a lot more work to do on the DD side and approaching the auctioneers and finding them, obviously. About the only place you can find them, well, I say there's two places. I will be publishing lists of these withdrawns with the consent of EIG. We're going to be looking at putting them up on the buying auction property, this website down here, because they're just not visible otherwise at all. I've got to talk to EIG about it, and on the basis of putting them up with by region. So we'll have a southeast region, a southwest region, and so forth and so on. But that won't be tomorrow. I'm going to see how to work it, because the potential in these withdrawals is massive. I mean, you could find yourself you're the only person talking to an auctioneer about a property which is going to come up for sale in 3 months' time, which is ideal, fantastic. Anyway, this has been recorded, and I thank you all for attending. There isn't going to be another webinar until after or until the middle of May, because we've got this masterclass, we've got Easter coming up anyway, and then we've got the masterclass April 17 to May 7. So it'll be a week after that before we start the webinars again. And we will keep you. How do we access recorded sessions? They will be on the buying auction property. I'll be putting them up there. And or we'll email them to you. We'll email a link. They're on YouTube, and the moment I switch off tonight, we start to convert the recording, and so it's sort of done for tomorrow or a Friday, and then it's on YouTube and it's accessible. So I'll ask Jane to email you the link, and then you can go and listen to it again. Okay. Anyway, 9 o'clock it is on 8:58. Thank you very much for attending. I hope you've enjoyed it. And any questions, come back to me. And say we start 7:45 Q&A at the front end. If you've got any queries, please email them in. Here's my email address or text. Yeah, thank you very much. And good evening to you guys. Bye.